So this is not a video about Sean Combs and the Netflix documentary that I think 50 Cent thought ahead when he was creating this. This is a video about everything that you were not supposed to know about this video, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. Hi, my name is Kachi Offiah. I'm an entertainment journalist. You're watching Act 1, and this is my review of Sean Combs' The Reckoning.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
So episode 1, just before I talk about episode 1, if you remember, I had talked about Diddy. And the truth is, I understand the anger around the sexual allegations, what he did to Cassie Ventura, what he did to every other woman who has accused him of something. But forgive me for saying this. That's a big distraction. It's a big distraction from the actual fact that all these things Sean Diddy Combs did, he's been doing for years. If you watched episode 1, it tells us how Sean Combs was raised in this environment that was not full of so much love. And if we're being very honest, a lot of documentaries about celebrities tell us that they were not raised around a lot of love, which is ironic because his name is Love, right? And he was raised in this very tough environment. His mom would hit him, and his mom was, he was raised in a toxic environment. You should, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about what every single episode up until episode 4 talks about. It gives us some background into Diddy and how he just wanted to thrive and be this successful man. It gives us a background into the type of influences that he had as to what a man should be, which is okay. Gives us, maybe it's meant to humanize Diddy a little bit, but this documentary was never about telling us what we already knew. We knew that Diddy was assaulting Cassie Ventura. We knew that Danny T. Kane's Aubrey O'Day was being assaulted by Diddy. We knew from Coming Home, the song, when we didn't see Aubrey O'Day and they had this other new band, that there was a huge problem and Dawn was next. So let's understand that this documentary, in a bid to almost show us the monster that is Diddy, is also trying to do exactly what has been going on since Tupac died. Cover up. This video has been doing what has been going on for the past, 26 years since Tupac died. Cover up. I don't know what it is about Tupac's death, but if there's anything I know for a fact is that karma is happening to Diddy. Because every single policeman, every single member of the Southside Crips, every single member of that East Coast, West Coast broil that has known what exactly happened to Tupac and kept quiet is watching this documentary and hoping that we do not miss the intricate details. Episode 1 to 4 will tell us everything we need to know. And everything after that is it's just telling us stuff that we already knew, but telling us how bad it was. I don't know about anybody else, but watching that documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, I didn't just see Cassie Ventura and every other woman he assaulted. Nah, they were the only thing I saw in that documentary from the top to the bottom was how Diddy ruined the lives of 2 young men out of pure greed, jealousy, and envy. That was all I watched. For me, that was the beginning and end of the story. For me, that was the only story that needed to be told in this, because Diddy's life from when he started is the life that almost every other powerful man in Hollywood has. The truth is, Hollywood is in an industry where power corrupts and corrupts absolutely. There's so many young women, so many who are so vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a bad thing. Vulnerability in this sense, just being they want to succeed. They're talented. They sing, they dance, they act. Let's talk about that for a minute. They're good at something. But then who are the gatekeepers of the industries that control what these talents are or where the talents are? The gatekeepers are powerful men like Kevin Spacey, powerful men like Harvey Weinstein, powerful men like P. Diddy. These are the people controlling the gate of entry into the industry. So these women meet these gatekeepers and they tell you, and guess what? It hasn't even changed till today. So when I was watching that documentary, I was watching a retelling of the average woman's reality in 2026. Because while we're talking about what Diddy did to Cassie Ventura, I promise you that there are people still doing it. We only just had the Me Too movement. We only just had the Me Too movement. Isn't it interesting that we had a whole Me Too movement and we didn't hear nothing about Diddy? The Me Too movement, the major subjects and the major, the major clampdown from the Me Too movement went on Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Bill Cosby. We didn't hear Diddy's name, right? But these stories date back way before the Me Too movement happened. So you could say, yeah, maybe they were not ready to speak up. The point I'm trying to make is I don't want us to miss the actual story in this documentary. You see what Diddy did to Cassie, what he did to Dawn, what he did to Aubrey O'Day, and every other woman who came out in this documentary to share their experience, what he did to his assistant who was crying and saying to herself like she couldn't talk at the time when she went through what she went through. I'm sure if I put up a poll and asked every girl, woman who's in the entertainment industry or in the media space, if you could relate to any part of that documentary, I'm sure you'd say yes. I'm sure you'd be like, duh. Yeah. So watching that, like I said, it just felt like, you know what? I don't know. It just felt like, okay, this happened, understanding what Cassie Ventura went through. The fact that she knew what was going on to her, but she couldn't move. Because she had a goal. She said to herself, this is where I want to be. Some people could say, oh, Cassie, you could have just left, right? But left to where? Left to what? You fight power with power. You don't fight power with truth, unfortunately. Unfortunately, in the world of power, the truth does not set you free. The truth gets you kicked out. Ask Rose McGowan. That's her name. She tried to fight power with truth when Harvey Weinstein was, in the heat of his drama. She has been spilling the truth since, but it didn't get her anywhere. So just to set the base for this video, I think I want us to go to where the video wanted us to go to. Diddy is currently serving an over 4-year sentence, transportation for prostitution, amongst other issues. But is this where the battle ends for Diddy? No. I think this is just like a pat on the back. I think it's just a way of saying, okay, just so that, there can be some peace in the world. Let's just let the women have a say this time. I think that's what this is. The real problem is going to begin in February when Keffe D is going to start trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, that is when that's when pressure. That's when pressure will begin. Right now, Diddy is living la vida loca. If you watch the documentary, so if you've ever been to New York is a space for creatives, and that's one of the reasons I love the city. You will find creatives in every corner with an FX3, FX6. These guys are holding like mad equipment, just on the sidewalk looking for who to film. So it made sense that Diddy had someone following him around with a camera. They call them shredders. And you could see the fear, you could see the anxiety. And I honestly believe that fear and anxiety was not because of what was happening with Cassie Ventura. It was because the moment you begin to poke holes in a story, you start to find things that you had no business finding. So the moment we start poking holes in who this guy is, the baby oil, the guns, the control, the power, you then take it back to the fact that Diddy was never an artist. Diddy was never a musician. This every step I take, guy.
Every step I take, put your peace sign in there. Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray. Big, I miss you so much. Come on, y'all.
He was never an artist. Diddy was A&R. Then Diddy became a music manager when he started his own label. And that was what Diddy was doing. Now, when he had Biggie, and you see, this story is very passionate to me because this is the greatest evil in the entertainment industry today. The murder of Tupac and Biggie, the greatest evil, the greatest theft of stars in the entertainment industry. So when Diddy had, and this is all based off that documentary, right? When Diddy had Biggie on the record label, and they started doing their own thing, obviously Biggie was doing great. Biggie was having a good time. These are young guys, Tupac Shakur was doing his own thing, and they were just having a ball. These are two artists separately doing their own thing. Let's keep in mind that they were friends. Do you know that this is the first time in history that we are seeing an establishment of Tupac and Biggie as friends? Media reports have always tried to create a narrative that Tupac and Biggie were enemies, that they hated each other, East Coast, West Coast rival. No, that wasn't it. That was not what it was. These two men were friends at some point in time. They were friends. They were okay with each other. And they appreciated the fact that they both made good music, because there were not a lot of people doing that as well. There were other artists under both the Tupac side and the Diddy side. But these are two people who really just controlled the movement when it came to music. And what this documentary shows us is just how Diddy did not like competition at every point in time in Diddy's life. When it looked like there was someone who was not giving him what he wanted, or it seemed like there was somebody who was better than him, he took that person out. He did. He took the person out quick. And we see how he systemically did this with Diddy, with Biggie and Tupac, beginning with Tupac. So obviously he saw that relationship between Biggie and Tupac, and, they became friends. Then Diddy wanted to meet Tupac. Tupac obviously not caring for Diddy. I'm literally just regurgitating what you have to see the documentary to understand this. And Tupac not really caring for who Diddy was. They were just doing their own thing. And that 1994 shooting happened. I talked about this in a previous video. That was the shooting that led to Tupac releasing Hit 'Em Up. Now, if you've listened to Hit 'Em Up before, if I were Biggie, I would be mad.
Well, this how we gonna do this. Fuck Mobb Deep, fuck Biggie, fuck Bad Boy as a staff, record label, and as a motherfucking crew. And if you wanna be down with Bad Boy, then fuck you too. Chino XL, fuck you too. All you motherfuckers, fuck you too.
I would be mad. Now, keep in mind that the 1994 shooting at Quad Studios, Biggie was shooting. He was recording rather, right? And Tupac, his friend, was gonna come there. And all of a sudden, Tupac gets shot at this space. And he thinks it's Biggie that shot him. Now, at this point in time, Tupac is upset. He feels like, okay, this is what this guy did. They hurt me, blah, blah, blah. And he releases Hit 'Em Up. And everyone's expecting Biggie to say something, do something. And Biggie did not want to do that. That's what we're getting from the documentary, that Biggie did not want to say anything about that. He didn't want to respond. Even when Tupac said he slept with Faith Evans, Biggie's wife, he was like, yeah, he's not going to say anything. Faith Evans was like, that's a lie. But then again, media, you see, I love being a journalist, but I don't think that I can be a journalist if I have to feed in narratives that could hurt people. Because the narrative that Biggie and Tupac were rival enemies is just the media. But keep in mind that at the center of all of this is Diddy. So everything continues, and let's fast forward now to how Tupac gets killed. Diddy, surprisingly, is friends with the Southside Crips. The Southside Crips is just like you have your boys, your gang. When you go to a city, they're the ones protecting you. When Diddy's in LA, these are the guys protecting him. What are the odds that barely a year ago today, Keffe D gets arrested? Now, keep in mind, this is almost 27 years after Tupac has died. Keffe D gets arrested. And not only is Keffe D arrested, he's about to stand trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur. But Keffe D did not kill Tupac. The person, according to Keffe D, this information is out there. It's not even new. Who killed Tupac is someone called Orlando Anderson. Orlando is Keffe D's nephew. That's the best way to describe Orlando. Who is dead, by the way. There were 4 people in the car when Tupac was shot. All of them are dead. The only person who's alive is Keffe D. But what business did Keffe D have with Tupac? Did Tupac owe Keffe D money? Nothing like that. Diddy put a bounty on Tupac's head that he wants him out. And Keffe D said this. And then we hear this again in the documentary, that Diddy jokingly goes, I'm going to put $1 million on Tupac's head if you guys can take this guy out. And Keffe D takes Tupac out. Interestingly, he never got paid for doing that. He never got paid. So imagine killing somebody like Tupac and not even getting paid for doing it. That was the kind of person Diddy was. Now, obviously, Tupac's dead because, again, I'm not going back. I've talked about just how this happened in another video. Tupac has died. Everyone is mourning. People are mad because this is California Love Tupac. This is Dear Mama Tupac. You know, the love is real. So people are ready to go. Like, what? They're ready to burn everywhere down. And they told Diddy, do not come here. Do not come to LA. Do not come here with Biggie, because everybody believes that Biggie killed Tupac. Then from this documentary, we now hear in 1998, Diddy calls Biggie and goes, they need to go for a show. I think it was the MTV Music Awards. I'm not sure, but it was an award. Now, again, territory matters in music and in beef, okay? Not to say this is why AKA was killed, but when AKA's girlfriend, and I'm just bringing this home to South Africa, was, when she died, remember it was really sketchy how she died, whether she fell off she fell off a balcony or we don't know what happened, but AKA was with her at the time. It was understood that AKA was told not to go to the city where she's from. And AKA went there, and AKA was killed in that city as retaliation, in quote. Now, this is just street news. There's no confirmation, but this is what the people are saying. So it is an understanding that this is what has happened. We blame you for this, Biggie. We blame you for this, Diddy. Don't come here. Diddy tells Biggie, we're going to go there. I need you guys to follow the story. First of all, Tupac is the problem. Diddy is still in the back. He's the artist hype man. He's taking out Tupac. Now, Diddy, they finished the show. Diddy goes, he wants to leave. That's Biggie. Biggie's, I'm just going to call him the Notorious. The Notorious says he wants to go. Diddy goes, no, you're not going to go. You're going to stay. The Notorious B.I.G. gets shot. And I'm thinking to myself, Diddy has had several issues when it comes to gun violence, when it comes to beef. How did Diddy not know that Biggie was going to get killed if he's... It is the most ridiculous thing. No. Let me tell you where I now knew for a fact that this guy is the devil. Biggie dies. And what does Diddy do? Diddy becomes an artist. Diddy becomes an artist. He starts singing, he's a musician all of a sudden. So understand this. And not only is he a musician, he positions himself as best friends to both Biggie and Tupac. So interviews, everybody wants to talk to Diddy because this is the only person that you can really feel this people's pain from. And that is exactly how Diddy started, as we know him as an artist. And I think for me, understanding this and seeing it and just piecing the puzzle together really made me understand that Diddy didn't just kill Tupac. Diddy killed Biggie as well. It wasn't just Tupac, it was both. And these two people were so young, they just wanted to make music. They just wanted to be young and alive and vibrant. And there was this guy who had experience. Diddy had been doing this from way younger than both Tupac and Biggie. He had worked under another, what's his name? I've forgotten his name. He had worked under this man, and he had watched how he did things. He had watched how he made money. Diddy had made money. He had learned. He knew the ropes around this. But if Diddy was not number one, then it wasn't going to happen. Do you know that Diddy took out, after Biggie's death, Diddy altered Biggie's contract? Do you know how sick you have to be to do that to a dead man? So when I see what's happening to Diddy today, I don't think that it has a lot to do with the woman he assaulted, right? But it goes even deeper into the things that he did that never got spoken about. I don't know. This is not news. I don't know why this was never talked about. I don't know why Diddy never stood trial. But I do think that Keffe D has gotten to a point where he no longer wants to just keep silent about this anymore. So that trial is going to start on the 9th of February. And best believe that Keffe D is going to talk about Diddy. He's going to tell us what Diddy did, how Diddy never paid him, and how Diddy placed a 1 million bounty on Tupac's head. And I cannot wait to see how that affects this whole trial. So Diddy's case is not done. It's far from being done. Again, my heart goes out to Cassie Ventura and every other woman who's had to endure the wrath of Diddy. But the thing is, when you see a man in power who is mean to you, understand that if he's doing that to you, this person is doing so much worse that you can't even see. And it's scary. It truly is. But if anything, I feel like this information must have purpose. And the entertainment industry, myself as a journalist, I'm here to know what the purpose is. Even if it's just closure for the fans, for the families. Because how do you kill two people and nothing happens? Like you just snatch their light. That is evil. Like, for lack of a better word. Anyway, if you have a different opinion, please share. I want to hear it because, geez, it's a lot. Like, it's plenty. This one past Harvey Weinstein, to be honest. So share. I would love to know what your thoughts are, and subscribe to Act 1. Let's follow this story like track for track because there is so much to unpack on this Diddy case. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.